All right, y'all. Errol Spence has thrown down the gauntlet. He said he tired of everybody talking crazy. He tired of these dudes talking out the side of their neck, coming at him sideways. And he not having it. He's done, right? And if you don't know what I'm talking about, so Antonio Tarver, former champion Antonio Tarver, he posted the clip when Errol Spence was fighting Yordenis Ugas. And Errol Spence's mouthpiece came out of his mouth. It came flying out of his mouth. Errol Spence then looked down to get the mouthpiece. Yordenis Ugas cracks Errol Spence. Errol Spence goes wobbling back into the ropes. And then Antonio Tarver posts this clip. And then he captions the video by saying, if this same scenario happens against Terrence Crawford, what's the outcome? Would Spence have survived, or does Bud finish the job? Now, I got to give y'all context to this. Antonio Tarver is an Errol Spence naysayer. For sure. He's not a guy that's... See, it's different than if you just say, I think Terrence Bud Crawford would win the fight. Antonio Tarver questions Errol Spence's abilities a lot. He questions if Errol Spence is capable of making adjustments in a fight the way that he feels that Terrence Crawford can. He says that Terrence Crawford reminds him a lot of himself, so he favors Crawford a lot. He says that Terrence has a lot of dog in him, but he questions if he sees that dog in Errol Spence Jr., right? So then Errol Spence responds to Mr. Antonio Tarver, and he tweets out, all these what ifs. Dude needs to focus on his junior and leave this one alone. Errol Spence then followed up that tweet by also tweeting out, if you came up dirty anytime in your career, don't speak on me not respectfully. LOL. And y'all, I'm so glad that Errol Spence spoke on this for real against Antonio Tarver, because Antonio been saying stuff like this for a while, right? And again, it's one thing if you feel like you like Errol, if you like Bud, because you feel like, okay, Bud has better skills, so on and so forth. But to say you ain't never seen Errol Spence make adjustments, that just means you ain't never really watched Errol fight closely like that, right? To question if Errol Spence has dog in him, you ain't never seen Errol Spence fight. Dog is what he did over there when he went over to the UK and beat KO Brook for that IBF strap, right? Dog is what you seen in the fight with Yordenis Ugas, breaking that man down, fracturing his orbital bone, breaking him down. That's what dogs do, right? So I don't know how you can say Dog is getting into a fight with Sean Porter in a phone booth, thugging it out, going blow for blow with that brother. And in Sean Porter's, that's Sean Porter's house. In a fight that would favor Sean Porter in the trenches in the doghouse, Errol stood in there with him, taking Sean Porter's best shots, giving ammunition right back. So to say he don't got no dog in him, that sound like you just don't watch Errol Spence fight, or you just really you're not really keen to Errol Spence like that. So I'm glad that Errol Spence spoke up in his favor. Because Antonio, for real, it's not just he think Terrence Crawford to win the fight. The question of Errol got dog in him, for real, come on, man. And I think the measurables to dog is different to a lot of these different fighters, right? Even in the sports like basketball and football, guys measure dog by how much shit a fighter talks, how much bravado they have, how mean they do stuff, how mean they look, how mean they sound, the mean faces they make, how much of that killer talk they talk all the time, right? And I warn people of that, because Kevin Garnett was a basketball player, an NBA superstar Hall of Famer, legend, great power forward. He talked a whole lot of trash, talked big shit, big boy shit his whole career. Talk cussing folks out left and right. Barking, woofing, cussing every word. Talking a whole bunch of street stuff. Talking like he was top goon number one, right? But we all know he was never at any point better than Tim Duncan at any point in Tim Duncan's career. Tim Duncan was stoic. He didn't say much. He kept a lot of stuff to himself. He was real mild-mannered. That's Errol Spence for the most part, unless you pull out, unless you face to face with him talking some crazy street stuff, talking some wild, crazy stuff, and he feels disrespected, he's gonna respond he's not gonna respond in Tim Duncan fashion then. But outside of that, Errol's pretty mild-mannered and reserved. He don't go around trying to look mean, trying to look aggressive 24/7, trying to look like he the big mean bully on the block, like he Debo everywhere he go. He don't carry that type of energy. And some guys question because he doesn't carry that energy if he's really real or not. And I always say you can't measure stuff like that by that. Because that's the same scenario they use for the Michael Jordan, LeBron James thing, or you're not a real killer if you don't go around being mean and all of that. Magic Johnson wore a smile on his face, still got 5 championships. Tim Duncan, again, like we just, and I compare Errol to Tim Duncan a lot. Never just this super flashy guy, never has the most flashy type abilities, but fundamentally sound and very good at everything all around, right? Which makes him a great fighter, good at everything around. Not great at everything, but good at everything. When you're good at everything, it makes you a well-rounded great fighter, right? But yeah, like Tim was never like the most athletic person. He never had, he was never the most flashiest guy, but could do all the simple things, and it could outdo you on any given night, outperform you on any given night. And that's who Errol is. And it's funny because Errol tweeted out a picture of Tim Duncan and Greg Popovich and said, me and Derek. Derek James, his trainer, being Greg Popovich, Errol Spence being Tim Duncan, right? But, what's crazy is that, like, again, people question, you ain't got no dog in you ain't got no dog in this and all of that. Tarver just really, really likes Terrence Crawford. And he think that means so all that mean shit, that don't mean nothing. Again, Magic Johnson got 5 rings and won all of them with a bright smile on his face. So all that, that's good for show. That's good for antics. When you get into that ring, that's what counts. And I think people underestimate Errol because he doesn't go around trying to be top goon number 1 all the time like Terrence does, right? But this is also a great point. I want people to point this out. Errol say, man, listen, if you pop dirty, don't say nothing. Don't ever not speak on me respectfully. And the crazy thing about it is, a lot of the guys who question Errol Spence's abilities, and I don't think Roy Jones was really hating. I can't say Roy Jones was. Antonio Tarver and James Toney, yeah, not Roy Jones. But Roy questions certain abilities of Errol Spence for real. He does. And the ironic thing about it is, Roy Jones popped dirty. Antonio Tarver popped dirty. James Toney popped dirty too, right? And James was top tier hating. Errol Spence can't even spell fight. Pick Danny Garcia to beat Errol. He can't spell fight. Errol Spence, he ain't no great fighter. Hell no. And I said, James out his fucking mind. Because it wouldn't be this mega blockbuster fight if Terrence Crawford was the only great fighter in that square circle. If he was the only great fighter in the equation, it would just be another just walk in the park. Like the fight against David, Milk Magnesia about to beat for Bud Crawford. Bud about to fight David, Milk Magnesia, David Anastasia, David and his niece and them, whatever his name is. He finna fight David, Milk Magnesia, and that's finna be a walk in the park. An easy, breezy night. This finna be a breeze, one of them joints, right? And if Errol couldn't spell fight, that fight nobody would want to see that. Nobody would be clamoring for that fight. Nobody would say that's the biggest fight in boxing. So we knew James Toney was just being a hater, bro. James got a bias towards Bud. He just likes Bud's skills and Bud's prowess. And he probably feel like Bud remind him of him with the meanness and the bravado and all the, the aggressiveness, all this and all of that, right? But all that shit don't mean nothing. When you in the ring, I'm looking at that. When I see Errol dig to the body and try to break you down and break your ass down into pieces, for real, like when he tries to rip you apart, sustained body attack like that, and then stays consistent with it, with the uppercuts through the guard. That's beautiful. So I don't need all that mean shit. I'll watch the fight and say, nah, that brother got it, right? That brother got it. But yeah, man, ironically, and I'm glad Errol spoke up and spoke out about this. All them dudes questioning him, they didn't pop dirty. And I know it was an era when it wasn't a lot of drug testing and all this and all of that. And back in the day, before Roy Jones and them heyday, a lot of fighters were not being drug tested. They all was on something. But a lot of y'all had advantages. You had performance enhancing advantages in certain fights. And your opponent may have been using this so you can say he was on the even playing field. It could be the same thing. But, y'all had them enhancements to help y'all get through these fights. These young boys ain't got these enhancements. And they getting the job done. And doing it well, man. And you can say what you want to say about Errol. He may not be mean. He might not show the aggressiveness you want to see outside of the ring and all that. He might not talk a whole lot of big shit like Bo Mac doing all that, and Bernie Goldtooth, Bernie the Boxer doing all this, and he may not look mean and vicious like Terrence Crawford do all the time, looking like Kendrick Perkins. He might not have a Kendrick Perkins dog face on all the time, right? Errol may look very stoic. But in that ring, the brother, what he's done, the brother gonna go in there and scrap with the best of them. And he ain't no hoe. He ain't gonna quit. He ain't gonna fold. He gonna get in there and squabble and give it every 120, 150%. Even coming off the car accident, people want to call Danny a tune-up now. People were saying that they thought Danny could knock out Errol, especially after the car accident. Oh man, Errol may not be the same. His punch resistance may be shot. Shit, Danny might hit him with that left hook, that no-look left hook. It might be out. It might be curtains for Spence. We was hearing that, right? People was like, man, I got Danny, man. This might be the upset of the year. All of that. Errol going there and whoop that boy ass better than Keith Thurman did, better than Sean Porter did. Now it's, Danny was never that good. Make up your mind, y'all. For real, man. But the real key thing is Errol is a sharp shooter, bro. He hit right where I would hit. You feel me? I'm glad Errol like this. I like this. I like when Errol hit back on these dudes, man. These dudes talk crazy. Hit back on these mugs, man. Right? Errol told Antonio Tarver, worry about your little mans, your son. Worry about your JR. Worry about your JR, man. Your junior, your little man's out here with an 8-year career, but only got 10 fights, and he's 34 years old. You need to worry about the progression of your little one, your young one. Your JR out here fighting for 8 years with only 10 fights, and he's 34. Check on your JR, man. Give some life to life, some mouth to mouth resuscitation to your junior's career. Get your JR together and then come back and holler at me. Get your JR, get your junior, get your little mans, get your young one, get your cub together, and then you can come up here and talk to me. That's what I would be on it. I'm like, Errol, yeah, man. Talk that talk. Your son out here 34. And you're a real grown prospect still. What's the word on that, man? Do your son got dog in him? Do your son, can he make adjustments? I'll be on the same type of time, you know? But yeah, I like when Errol get in his bag like this and start talking shit like this, because a lot of them take Errol's his meekness for weakness. And sometimes you gotta check dudes. When they talking crazy, you gotta let them know. You gotta test that temperature. You know what I mean? Like, you gotta let them know something. Like, nah, fam, you talking real slick. That's for that. I'm gonna come out and hit you with this bomb right quick. I'm gonna let you know something. You feel me? I gotta let you feel this pressure a little bit, Femo. I gotta let you hear what I'm saying real quick, because I gotta look. You talking real greasy. I gotta remind you of something. Get your junior together. Get your JR together. And then come back and holler at me, Antonio. Tonio talking crazy. You know, all this dog and he ain't got this and he can't even make these adjustments. Tonio might have been dirty when he fought Roy Jones. I don't know. He might have been dirty when he fought Roy. I don't know, man. I don't know. You feel me? So, all that, man. But again, ironically, all the dudes that speak out about Errol, a lot of them have popped dirty. Antonio, even I love Roy. Roy popped dirty. James Toney, too. And I love Lights Out. I just didn't like that hating shit he was doing on Errol. Because it's like, bro, to say he can't spell fight, man, that's just hating at his pure finest. It's a reason why that brother got 3 straps. At the time, he had 2 straps at the time when James Toney said that. It's a reason why that brother got 2 straps. Not just because he just fighting he just walking into easy fights. He just collecting vacant titles. No, he going in there taking belts off of dudes. Everybody won. He took off a dude, a champion. You feel me? Kell Brook went over there, went over to England, to Sheffield, got the belt from him, right? Got Sean Porter belt, got Ugas belt. Last belt is Terrence Crawford. We're going to see what happens after Terrence fight David and his niece and them. David Milk of Magnesia. David Anastasia. We're going to see what happened after that. And then we're going to see, what Errol's going to do in the meantime. Errol says he has an announcement. Possibly. I don't know if he's going to move up to 54 and then come back down. I would hope not, because he's saying he's spinning the block. I don't think there's no spinning the block at 47 after you do 54. Hopefully the next fight is against Boots Ennis or maybe Virgil Ortiz, something like that. I don't want to see Errol fight no Stanionis. I really don't. I ain't watching that one. I'm just not as my dog, but I want to see him either fight Boots or Virgil Ortiz, which would be dope. We're going to see what's next, man. Machiavelli Mills TV, I'm out. Peace.